My name is Tom Woodbury, and I'm with Exile Shenpen Ling, and met Geshe La last fall at Shavasti Abbey for some teachings, and the first time I talked to him, I told him he said, "Where are you from, Tom?" And I said, I was from Montana, and he said, Shavasti Abbey is in Washington, and he said, "Where in Washington is Montana?" And I said, "Geshe La, you have to come to Montana." and so he did. And actually, this is the second time coming to Montana because we flew him off to Boise here for a couple of days. So we're already getting him in the habit of coming back to Montana. We're so pleased to have Geshe La here and quite honored. He's an amazing teacher, which was the main reason I wanted to bring him out here, but also he's the head of the Universal Compassion Movement. And the way I actually got him to come out here was by promising him that if he came to teach, that I would do everything I could to promote the Universal Compassion Movement for him. And that kind of sealed the deal. Then he was like happy to come. The Universal Compassion Movement, I mean, he's basically going to tell us his life story tonight, and he'll talk about the Universal Compassion Movement. But I just want to mention a couple of things. On the sheet that you have tonight, there's a website. If you go there, there's opportunities to sponsor monks at Phelgye Monastery and things like that, which is an incredible thing to do, to create merit for yourself and to help people trying to do everything they can for all sentient beings. And there's all kinds of other things that Universal Compassion Movement is involved in. We're going to do our best to start a local chapter for the Universal Compassion Movement here in Montana, and involve the interfaith community and in activism, non-secular, social issues. I mean, that's basically what it's about. And Geshe La is an amazing teacher. For those of you who don't know, he's a member of the Tibetan Parliament. And the only one thing I'd just say, about Geshe La, just to give you an idea of what an amazing teacher he is and leader, is that when His Holiness the Dalai Lama decided that he needed to divest himself of some of his responsibilities, one of the things he decided to do was to delegate authority over the entire Gelug Buddhist school, which His Holiness is the head of. And so they created a post called the president, well, they created an organization, or the International Gelug Society, to have responsibility over all the monasteries and nunneries in the Gelug school around the world. And Geshe La was the first president of the International Gelug Society, which just gives you some idea of the high esteem that he's held by the Tibetan community. And he's an amazing teacher. The Dharma has definitely changed my life, and that's the focal point of my life. And I felt so fortunate just to get teachings from Geshe La, and then to actually, he was doing a retreat at Shavasti Abbey last weekend, and to actually be able to sort of kidnap him from there and take him to Montana has been a thrill. A lot of Tibetans feel like Montana looks a little bit like Tibet, reminds them of Tibet, and And when we were coming, I took him to scenic route, you know, like Highway 200. And as we were coming down, all of a sudden, Geshe got excited and said, "Stop the car, stop the car." There was like some yaks, you know. He was like, the first time he saw yaks out in the United States. And so we got out of the car and took pictures of the yaks and everything. It's not exactly what I think it was Montana wildlife, but it was pretty I was actually pretty surprised myself. I never noticed yaks in Montana. So Geshe taught Monday night at Osel Ling, and then he taught Tuesday night at Aguam, and actually met Tuesday with Kootenai Salish Tribal Council and elders, and the children came and sang for him. And Georgia Milan, for those of you who don't know, I think actually everybody knows Georgia, but has just, you know, organized a lot of amazing things for Geshe La, and he's thoroughly enjoyed his time here. And so tonight, we thought it would be really nice for Geshe La to have an opportunity to like formally introduce him to the Missoula community. Oh, and I should have mentioned also, we had an interfaith breakfast, which is when Terry offered to open this space up for the public talk tonight, because we thought there would be. Because we did not have been able to fit all of you into the open way. So without further ado then, please welcome to Missoula, Montana for the second time, Geshe Thupten Phelgye.
Good evening. Thank you for having me here. Oseling, Evam, and what else?
Open Way. Open Way.
Open Way. 3 organizations. All 3 organizations, I'm very grateful for having me here on this special day. Tom wanted me to tell my stories. I don't know how much interesting that would be. But before going on to stories, as we all know, today is a very special day, Good Friday. I think maybe we will do a little meditation prayer for the world peace, for all sentient beings, and to pray that all the great beings, particularly Jesus Christ, as the faith believes, we all pray that Jesus may come back to the world and serve the mankind. Again, as it is believed, it is, I think, because of this special occasion, we must wholeheartedly, all together, regardless of which culture, which religion, which your background is, we should all pray for that. So we'll do a few minutes, maybe 2, 3, 4, but I don't want anyone going to make a nap. So keep it short. So maybe 3 minutes, right? Oh yeah. I'll sit down for the meditation. All right, thank you. So, As I said right now, some people may be thinking I am, because I'm a politician, I'm playing politics now. I don't know if I'm a politician. I somehow I'm got into the, the political platform, and I have a role to play there, but as a person, I don't think I'm a politician. So something. I do believe in all the religion, all the great beings, not only religious great beings, but even though what you say, atheist, who does not believe into any religion, there are so many great beings, even in the atheist. So I have so much respect to all that who are compassionate, who live for others, who work for others, who serve the mankind. So to me, regardless of which background, which country, which religion, all of them are so important, so precious. I have so much faith and respect to all of them. And I do believe even in the religious world, as a Buddhist, we talk about karma, right? So every sentient being has different karma. Everyone has a different character, different will, different feeling. So there need to be many faiths and religions to serve, to fulfill everyone's wishes. We cannot imagine that all mankind turning into one faith. This has never been, or this will never happen. Everyone has to have their own room. Everyone has to have their room to pray and practice as they feel good. That's very, very important. And this is how I try to promote honoring diversity. And this is why I look forward opportunities to take part into any religion, any faith, wherever. When I find there's a door open, I get into and I try to practice and participate and respect. At the same time, now my work, my vision, my organization, Universal Compassion Movement, I named it Universal Compassion Movement. Basically, yes, as a Buddhist, when you believe in compassion, when you cultivate compassion, it is universal. You know, there's no doubt, it is universal. But at the same time, I just wanted to make it a little more specified, saying universal compassion as a name is just because I felt, even though we pray and we cultivate universal compassion in our mind level, in practical, our day-to-day way of living is little far from what you actually do from here. First of all, we all know from the morning, as you get up, you keep busy with the I and my, simply I and my. And then next would be my community, my country, my culture, my religion. And then largest would be us humans, right? We ignore the voiceless, poor other beings, sentient beings, the animals. That is something I wanted to focus on and promote, or become a voice for the voiceless. This is how I began campaigning for vegetarianism as an act or practice of compassion towards animals that we eat. As we all know, Tibet is known as the roof of the world. The highest altitude. Most of the places of the Tibetan plateau just have animal. You can't even grow anything. So like myself, I was born in a nomad culture, a nomad family, where all you have is animal, nothing else. If you need any food grains, you sell meat, cheese, butter, and buy grain. This is how our life was. So I grew up with meat. Then, of course, not so long after around my age of 3, we had to leave our country. We lost our country. We came into exile. And then coming into exile, again, Tibetan refugees were settled elsewhere into Tibetan community to protect ourselves from losing our identity and culture. So we remained, wherever we settled, we remained as a Tibetan. So we do not really notice the other side of eating meat. In 1973, I joined a monastery. I studied Buddha Dharma. Even then, didn't come to my notice so much about animal suffering, because whole culture, is just very common to living on meat. Tibetans have a thinking that without meat you can cook. They don't know how to cook without the meat. They don't know how to cook a vegetarian food. This was how entire culture used to be. But in 1984, a senior lama, a senior monk, asked me to buy some meat. When he said, if you're going to the town, please buy some meat for me, 2 kilos. He asked me to buy 2 kilo meat. And he also said, if you go to the slaughterhouse early in the morning, you'll get the best meat. I was actually going to the town to take some patients to the hospital. So the first day we did this, and the next day, the day we are coming home, in the morning I went to the slaughterhouse. I came to the slaughterhouse before, a little earlier, too earlier, so that the poor slaughterers were just beginning to kill animals. So I was just watching. And those were like a very traditional slaughterhouse, just small ones, not like Western industrial, killing machineries. But they were just, each slaughter may have 1 or 2 animal killing. So I was watching the whole process. While the slaughter, tied down the animal and started to kill, and the other animal, they watch, how they feel, they're terrifying, because they see, I'm the next. So from that on, and then these slaughters don't even wait till the animal is dead. They just started to, peel down or chop down the animals while they're still alive. So there was something that I have never seen in my life. I realized this is what we are eating. I was sitting crying before, helpless. What do? I didn't have anything to do, just watching and praying and crying. And I made myself kind of a commitment before the dying animal that said, oh, I have to do something for these poor animals. I have to raise voice for these voiceless ones. So, of course, I did not buy meat. I came home. At least for 2 or 3 days, I could not eat, I could not practice, I could not do anything. It was just every time when I do, just those animals comes into my eyes. It's very, very, very difficult for me, even to practice my, my meditation or daily prayers. But then I started to think, how do I carry on? Normally in our teachings, as Tibetan Buddhist teachings, in our culture, we do not bother this chapter. Somehow I think Tibetans usually skipped that part of the Buddha's teaching. Then I went to the monastery library and started to look into Buddha's teachings. What we say, we have 100 volumes of Buddha's teachings. This originally translated from Sanskrit. So I look into volume by volume. It took me many months, but I did find many strong teachings about meat consumption, and I realized how strongly Buddha has condemned meat eating. That made me more courageous. I know still our culture is a big challenge, but I do know by then that truth is with me. So I started to campaign, started to write on the newspapers, magazines, started to stick posters around. People started to put nicknames on me. And then from the beginning, I used to be like fat, or in Tibetan we say, in Tibetan actually, fat is known good. They say, very good, he's fat, good, This is Tibetan mentality. So I was good. Always good. Kind of, so, and so they would kind of hint at me. They would say, you don't eat meat? They say, how come you so big? Not only that, sometimes they would say, you are white crow. Like normally crow is always black, so they call me a nickname, white crow, you are different from the culture. And also they say, shame jagwa, means fat or the big without meat. How can that be? So they just tease me all the time. Shame jagwa in Tibetan. So, but as His Holiness Dalai Lama always says, never give up. If you know what you're doing, don't give up. So I did not give up, kept working on what I believed. That was in 1984 when I began. In 1989, one day I thought I should, because the abbot of the monastery by then was quite close to me. I mean, when we were in the first graduation time, he used to be the disciplinaire, and he used to praise me a lot, and the whole monastery, like, praised me and some of us, like a few boys, praising that, look at these boys, everyone should do this and that and stuff. So I know he likes me. So this is why I went to the abbot and request him if he could put a law that to ban or to prohibit meat food inside and around the main temple, the holy place, the shrine place. And he agreed, and he made this announcement, because I don't know how many of you know about Tibetan monastic culture. Normally, in the monasteries, nowadays we are changing, little changing, but previously monastics are offered food, drinks, whatever, at the temple itself, when they are invited to do the prayer ceremony or meditation or any practice. While they are on their practice, the offers are made, food, tea, whatever. So normally lunch, dinner are mostly offered inside the temple, inside the cathedral. And then I always felt that strongly, very bad, that inside a sacred place, a holy place, you eat meat, chewing bones. So my first step was to stop that, and Abbot accepted my request, and he made the announcement that from today on, that is not permitted. He said, no meat inside and around the temple. That was first successful step from my campaigning. Those days, when we had, one of the key Tibetan or main popular Tibetan culture in terms of religious practice is that lay people, common people, believes that their responsibility is to support monastics. So wealthy people, rich people, whoever can afford, they actually come and sponsor the monastery. Say, if somebody can afford to offer a lunch for the entire monastery, or dinner for the entire monastery, or like sponsor a whole day, like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Or if you are rich enough, you can sponsor like days. Whatever you can afford, people do that. So, and then when you have a big sponsor, then big feast, right? Big feast, lots of meat. I believe many of you know momos. Tibetan dumplings, in a way. Right? That's a popular Tibetan food. So when there's a big sponsor to make a big offering to the monastics, then they actually make the momo offerings. So those days, for example, those days our monastery had maybe 1,000 monks. So now imagine, to make momos for the 1,000 monks, how many kilos of the meat is required? Many trucks, right? And then when meats are how does it, meats come, and then monks. Of course, it's a monks, self-help. Monks have to come, tying their ropes hard like his, you know, and then with the choppers come, and then you have to make momo. You know, momo, okay, meat is there, but then you have to make it, right? So hundreds of monks come and chop meat, chop, 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 chop all around, you know. It's just terrible, terrible. To me, it was terrible. So I was so happy to be able to stop that. From there on. And then later on, in the year 2000, when I was elected as the first president of International Gelug Society, I brought up resolutions into the International Gelug Society, of course, Gelug Conference, that from the Gelugpa monasteries and nunneries will stop meat consumption from there on. We did those deals within the Gelugpa monasteries and nunneries. But then later on, in year 2000, when I managed to attend the National Religious Conference in Dharamsala, where we have all schools, Nyingma, Kagyu, Sakya, Gelug, plus Bon. I raised the question, I brought up a resolution, and everyone, of course, supported. Because I don't know how many of them really spoke from heart. But there is this a truth that no one can say no. So everyone supported and successfully passed. And from there on, many, or I would say most of the monasteries and nunneries who believe in Tibetan government organization as a religious, a department of religion, I may say. They have practiced as it was. I mean, what I'm trying to say is that they have became vegetarian. But I still hear some are not yet. But then later on, I pushed on and on and on. And in 1990, before that, in 1997, 97, I had a personal audience with His Holiness just on this issue. I asked His Holiness Dalai Lama for his support, his blessings. And His Holiness, of course, was very, very happy. He thanked me. He said, "Thank you for doing this." He said, we need to work on this. He said, we are Mahayana Buddhist, and we are somehow, this is a terrible culture we have. We have to try to bring changes. So thereon, His Holiness, every time on his public talks or Dharma teachings, he talked about vegetarianism. So this is how a big change came through in our society. From there on, now we have, even in the lay community, several of animal organizations who work for animal welfare or animal rights, campaign for vegetarianism. The youngsters mostly. They are doing a great job. And of course, then I took the issue into the parliament when I was in the parliament. I'm still. I don't know, fortunately or unfortunately, but I'm still in. I'm still in the parliament. And that was that my okay, I have to have an excuse, right, to bring a bill into the parliament. My excuse was to to longer His Holiness Dalai Lama, for the long life of His Holiness Dalai Lama. I said all Tibetans should refrain from meat eating at least 1 year. As much animals' life you save, that will extend His Holiness' life. That was my argument. So we had a long argument in the parliament, a whole day almost, and there came so many criticism against me, in saying that Geshe is wasting precious time of the parliament. But we finally, of course, I had to dilute my proposal a little bit. I had to add a try. Everyone should try. I had to add that, otherwise it wouldn't go. So I did this. Somehow my resolution success, I would say, fully passed. And many people actually practiced. And many of my colleagues who actually was strong against to my proposal, later on come to me and thanked me, saying that, thank you for bringing that issue up. I am vegetarian now, and I have no problem. I feel good. So, that part. And then from the religious point of view, from, is that, but then, in fact, even if you think from your health issues, to me, vegetarian food is far healthier than meat food. Here in the West, in the America, I see lots of problem of obesity from all age, from the children, from the children of maybe 6, 7 age. I see they are just overly, too much fat. I think these things are very much related with the meat, because of the economic concerns, you humanized animals to make animal grow bigger, and then you eat it. And then actually the effect that took into the animal obviously affect to you, and you grow big. I normally try, even in the vegetable, I try to stay away from fats and potatoes. I don't know, but people say potato make you fat. So I say I try to stay away from potato. So here in America, when you go to the restaurants, most of the restaurants have potato. Even though you don't ask for potato, they have potato with, you know. They give you potato. So I always make joke. If I eat too much potato, I become potato. So when you eat this meat, poor animals are hormonized to make them bigger, and then you eat them, you become bigger. And not only by concern of the look, but it's a terrible issue of the health, you know. And here in the West, I visited many hospitals, and I know many people, like dying people, all you hear is by cancer and cancer and cancer. And I think these things are very much related with the meat. And also here in the West, because of the economic concern, you chemicalize all your food grains, vegetables and fruits and everything. So this is why too many cancers. Now people come to know that chemicalized foods are not healthy. People talk about organic food. But again, I don't think the poor people can always afford to eat organic food. Here in America, I come to know that you have different, variety of grocery stores where rich people can buy, good organic thing, or then, different and different. So these are the problem of the material world. Even then, with comparing with the meat food and the vegetarian food, I can confidently say the vegetarian food is far more healthier, maybe even cheaper. And then of course, it's harmless. It's very important, because as a Buddhist, I can prove that what we say, the law of karma, the cycle of death and the rebirth, as we say in the Buddhist teachings, are truth and proven. So if you eat too much animal, other lifetimes, those animals will eat you back. Because human rebirth is not something that we have bought. that does not belong to us. Not necessarily always you will rebirth into human life. And those poor animals does not necessarily always take rebirth into animal. You know, just the cause and conditions bring them into certain lives. We as ourselves as human beings at this lifetime, we know that our previous lifetime we have done good things. We have been compassionate, we have been nice to other beings, so we have this precious human life this time. But if this life we misuse this precious life, if we misbehave, if we are mean, after this lifetime, departing from this body, you will have to face for what you do in this life. I'm not talking about the hell realm. But truth is that there is next life. After departing from this physical body, your consciousness, your very self, depart from this body and go further to a next rebirth. That I can prove. So, the very important thing that we human beings need to wake up is that there are certain things before our eyes. These things are before our eyes, but you are still not able to believe on. And you still believe on something else that you are not sure, right? So the truth is that there are many, many people who remember their previous lives. To prove our next life, we do not need many. One example is enough. If somebody remember their previous life, that is good enough to prove I have a rebirth. If he has a rebirth, why not me? Clear. We do not need so many proofs. Just one proof is enough. If you realize somebody remembered their previous life, that means they have their previous life. If they have a previous life, why not next life? If somebody has an answer, that is good. But if no answer, we need to give a thought, because we, as a human being, we have this privilege of having what we call the brain. We have ability to think, study, right? So this is why by realizing that there's a life after death gives you a real hope. Very important. We may think, I have, not been doing so good, or no, I am, like, one last week when I was teaching a student, he said, oh, now I'm over 40, I just met Dharma, I sometimes regret that now I don't have very long, life ahead. So never late. It's never late. If you realize the truth, that is good enough. Never late. So it is very important to that. Even though you think, oh, I haven't been doing so good, but it's okay. This is not, as you say, just a single opportunity. You have next life. In Buddhism, I want to repeat this. This is a very good example. In Buddhist teachings, what they said, even though somebody is dying, if doctor says he's dying, if you can, you still should study. Even though if you are dying in a few minutes, if you can, you should still study, because your effort never goes waste. Your effort will bring fruit in your next lifetime. Next lifetime, you will be more sharper. You will learn things quicker, because you have put effort this lifetime. Because consciousness that comes from many, many lifetimes and goes life after lifetime again and again. We may change our physical body as a human being, as an animal, whatsoever. Right? So, by realizing that this is not only the one-time life, you have a next life, you always have another chance to do better. So there is no fear of completely darkness, end of your being. You don't have that fear. It's very important. Then again, as a Buddhist, we talk about all mother sentient being, right? We try to cultivate our heart, not only compassionate, but compassionate towards all sentient beings. All beings that has a mind, that can feel, that can enjoy happy and pleasure, that goes through pain and suffering. That only happens with those who has a mind, who has a consciousness. That is sentient being. And all sentient beings, we say, deserve same peace and happiness like ourselves. And this is why we try to cultivate our heart more and more compassionate towards all sentient beings. This is why through the attitude of kindness and gratitude towards your mom, your mother, right? Just think of ourselves. When we were born, a piece of flesh, piece of meat, maybe 3-4 pounds, 5 pounds, several pounds, right? Several pounds, several pounds of piece of meat. If our mother has not taken care of, if she has not given love and compassion and taken care of us, within minutes or hours, we are no more. When I talk this sometimes in the audience, some people say it is hard for them to see their mother very kind and compassionate. They say, I have a bad experience with my mom. I say, whatsoever, you are here because of your mother. You are here. You know, you are in this world. You have this life to enjoy. This is from your mother. So, this is how, in Buddhist practice, try to see all sentient beings as your mother. Meaning, because of the truth of the cycle of death and birth, we say that all sentient beings, all, no matter human being, animals, insects, bugs, whatever, all sentient beings have been sometimes our mother, no matter who, right? The logic behind it is that, say, okay, there's so many sentient beings. And then we say, okay, all these sentient beings, each and every one had sometimes been my mother. And as they've been my mother, say, not necessarily you have to imagine of being a human being. Like even in the animal realms, you see how this animal, a mother love their children. We see those things, right? So a mother's compassion and kindness to their children is just how to say,
self-evident. It proves itself.
Yeah, just amazing. I mean, there's no word to express our mother's kindness. It's true. Let it be human being, let it be animal, let it be any living being. Our mother oftentimes sacrifice their life for their children. So this is how we develop our kindness towards your mother. And then you see all sentient beings as your mother, because you say every sentient being, all sentient beings have been, each and every one have been sometimes our mother. Logic behind it is that you cannot point out a single sentient being that this particular sentient being has never been my mother. You cannot, because in Buddhism we talk about beginningless. This is one of the key things, because in Buddhism it does not believe in a creator God. Then question arises, how things exist. When was it big? When was the beginning time, right? So, as we say, in numbers, when it is in numbers too many that you cannot count, you say countless. In measurement, when it's too big, when you cannot measure, you say immeasurable. In time, when you cannot count back, it's countless. If you try to trace back the beginning, you can never trace back the beginning, because that's why it's beginningless. Because to tell the beginning, there should be somebody from that beginning to today to witness it. That does not exist. Right? Do we understand? To prove the beginning time, to tell the story of the beginning time, somebody should be there from the beginning time to witness. Human beings live more or less 100 years. So we know everything exists and things work from the law of cause and conditions. Like science. Science is all about cause and condition. The difference is science has worked on the atom, on the material, and the physical things. Science is now working on consciousness, trying to find what consciousness is. They are trying to learn, but they have not yet touched the consciousness, but they are working on. But so far, the science has worked on the atoms, right? And whatever they have developed, what we are enjoying at our times, the technology and so on, cause and conditions, experiments. So, cause and conditions. Similarly, now, the law of the cause and condition, if you realize the law of cause and condition, what in Buddhist language we say karma, the action and its outcome, action and its fruits that you face afterwards, good or bad. So, by realizing these facts helps you to be a responsible person in the very first level. And then also, as I said earlier, it gives you a hope that, okay, even this time, this lifetime, I try my best, not really, very satisfactory, but again, you pray, next life, pray for the next life to be able to do better, right? This is how we how we go better and better life after life. Then, as we say, the liberation from the samsaric sufferings, or the ultimate, the Buddhahood, free from all the sufferings and cause of sufferings, right? So these are the certain things. There are so many depths to go in, but the very foundation, very in a fundamental level, there are certain things that we need to give thoughts upon. Is that, does it make sense to you in talking about cause and conditions? Does it make sense to you? The law of karma, does it make sense to you or not? Then can you realize upon the cycle of death and birth? Can you realize those people who remember their previous lives, they tell their stories, and all the story, as they say, come true. There are many other people who knows their previous life, and the stories actually meet, as they say. So can you believe on this? Can you realize on this? If not, what is your answer? What is your alternative answer? What's your answer if that is not something that you cannot, then you have to have something better answer. Like His Holiness Dalai Lama says, this is what we say. This is what Buddhists, understanding. But if somebody has something else, a better answer, with proof, logical proof, we are very happy to learn and accept. Right? So, these things are very, very, can I say crucial? Important? Important because death is certain. When is not certain. Any time death can occur. And there's no way you can skip death. No one ever been able to do that. No one will be able to skip the death. And when death, just individually, you and you, only you have to face the death. No family, no friend, no power, no status, no wealth can follow with you. You just have to leave this body. And that is not very difficult. Can occur any time when you fail to inhale the last breath. That is the end of this life. And that can happen any time. Right? So it is wise, it is smart to prepare oneself. The challenge that you have to face anyway, there's no way you can skip that challenge, then why not prepare yourself? This does not mean that, like you give up everything and then, go and meditate. No. But spirituality is very important. Spiritual practice is very important. At least that much if you realize, you save some time, half an hour a day in 24 hours. To begin with, if you save half an hour in 24 hours, save for the spiritual practice, explore. There are so many, it's like buffet out there. So many religion are there, so many spiritual teachers are there, traditions are there. Just look into which one do you feel the best to you, which one really makes best sense to you, and then try to practice a little bit, and that will help you. When doctors give up, only spirituality will help you. Your compassionate act, that things you do good for the others, that karma in Buddhist language, that karma, that satisfaction will help you when departing from this life, right? So certain things I think I put before you. So I think maybe I stop here. I stop here, and I'll be very happy to answer any question anybody might have. Anything that, if that is out of my understanding, I may beg pardon. But as I said, mostly I say things only when I am confident. So any question about
over here.
Yes, please.
I was at a gathering that included Tulku Satnam Rinpoche, and I thought it was great toward the end, as far as questions, with China's rise so much economically, militarily, politically, and of course the relationship between Tibet and China. I thought I know the Dalai Lama himself, when asked, says, "How do you feel about the Chinese?" He says, "Well, I love them." I think this must be a question that you're asked from time to time. Do you have a perspective, or how would you reflect on Tibet's relationship with China at any aspect, I would find interesting?
Oh, thank you. now I have to be a politician. Okay. So far I was just a monk. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I've seen that interview with Larry King, right? I've seen that, and that's very true. His Holiness always says this, that how compassionate he feels towards. And His Holiness, as you all say, His Holiness is a person that actually, as you say, walk the talk. You know, he lives on what he says. If, and at least to me, if I have seen anybody that who actually live on what he teaches, that is His Holiness. This is why His Holiness, now we all know, for last several decades, he is honestly trying to make a dialogue with Chinese authorities. Even though Tibetan people in Tibet, inside Tibet, we have seen when the 2008 uprising began in Tibet, throughout Tibet, all over, you know, their slogans, we have seen their slogans. They're not talking about negotiation. They simply demand free Tibet, China go back to China. Their only slogan is free Tibet. And these young stars, these Tibetans, these monks, nuns, raise their slogans before Chinese guns, not inside their room. They come out to the street and they raise this voice before the guns. And even in exile community, many of, I can say all age, not just youngsters, in all age, in all walks, many Tibetans have a hard time to give up the idea of freedom, to give up the idea of independence. You know, even then, His Holiness has a strong commitment on what he realized, that the practical thing, that at this time, as China is emerging into world power, superpower, economically, military, or from every angle, I guess, as China is emerging into superpower. So it leaves a very small room for us Tibetans to expect for a freedom, for a complete freedom for the Tibet. That's why it's from the late 70s. Actually, His Holiness said he had this idea beginning from 1974, that saying that now asking for total freedom is not realistic. This only way is to make peace and live together. So, but His Holiness did not have courage to speak that to the Tibetan people then, because Tibetan people would go crazy. It took decades for His Holiness to say this to the Tibetan people. Common Tibetan people have come to know this idea in the late 1990s. And then later on, of course, everything came more and more clear, like at this current, what we say, current government, or current, we say Kashak, the cabinet, when they came down, way down to the floor, even giving up the idea of the democracy or future of Tibet, or even giving up the idea of self-law for the Tibetan people in the future. This government actually gave a document to the Chinese authority saying that if Chinese authorities give us if Chinese authorities honestly implement the laws for the ethnic groups of China to the Tibetan equally, we are ready to live under Chinese constitution. We proposed that already. But even then, Chinese authorities are not ready to give any consideration. Instead, they put more and more allegations against His Holiness. Certain harsh words they use against His Holiness is just terrifying. So this is the current situation. And from our side, of course, His Holiness is still hopeful. He believes that things will change. It's hard to say, but at the same time, one truth, indestructible truth, is that Tibet issue is not going to die. That's clear. After 50 years, we have seen what's happening in Tibet. Those youngsters who rose against Chinese tankers or the Chinese guns are mostly teenagers. They have not seen what happened to the Tibet in 1950s, 1960s. They have not seen anything. They have grown under Chinese communist rule. But they as they grow up, they realize, they know that we are Tibetans, and Tibetans are different. We are different from Chinese. They know this. This is why they raise their voice. So this makes us confident that Tibet issue will never die. Chinese authorities are making big mistake if they fail to negotiate Tibet issue while His Holiness is there. I think they will do the biggest mistake in their history. When I can't imagine the Tibetan people I can't imagine Tibetan people pick up arms, but it is hard to say they will not. It is His Holiness the Dalai Lama put down Tibetan people. He had said this many times, over and over, that if Tibetan people pick up arms, I'm away. I'm away from this responsibility. If Tibetan people want me to take the responsibility while I'm alive, you will not pick up gun. So, but after His Holiness, if Chinese authority does not give consideration, His Holiness pass away, we don't know what will happen. Because to create problem, you do not need a big thing. We see what's happening around us. Human bombs. We know what happened to the 9/11. You don't need a big thing to create problem. So that sometimes worries me, because human beings, Tibetans are also human beings. Of course, from the religious community, from Buddhist teachings, we try to, teach people compassion, tolerance, forgiveness. But we should not forget Tibetans are also human beings, and that there are, people, especially youngsters, their frustration can burst out anytime. So we hope that this present Chinese authorities come into some understanding and come to a dialogue with His Holiness and solve the problem. Because we are simply asking a very minimum of the human rights. Rights that we can practice our culture, a right that we can, live our own ways in our own land. So that's what we hope. At the same time, now we learn that whatever you have to do, you have to do. We cannot expect anyone else to do it for us. Thank you.
And that we seem to be having a fairly somber evening here. Could you speak to the problems of the Tibetan exile community, both living in India and abroad, in terms of how they're getting along and the problems that they're encountering.
Problems like what? Regarding?
The Tibetan exile community, particularly the young people in the Tibetan exile community living in India, probably getting jobs and that sort of thing. Could you speak to that issue?
Oh, well, that is a problem, but I think that's a very common to the entire world these days, even America. millions of people are losing their jobs and houses and so on. So I really, yes, we are as a refugee for the last, it's not just, okay, world is facing economic problems from last 2 years, but we as Tibetans being refugee, thrown out of your own country for the last 50 years, really struggling hard. Government of India has been, as all whole world knows, that so kind to us that they gave us shelter. And then not only shelter, that actually we live in India as Indian citizens. We have everything like Indian people, except we can vote. We can't expect government jobs. But other than this, we are really enjoying. But at the same time, coming into exile with, empty hand, you have nothing, and then you have to earn a living. Not easy. Not only earn a living, but then you have to try to educate your children. And then these things are challenges. This is how, one key thing I want to share with you is that ever since in 1960 we set up the exile government in India. Tibetan people in 1960, I don't exactly remember the date, but Tibetan people have come together and set an organization, what we called in Tibetan volunteer donation. Each Tibetan donate a sum of rupees, sum of money to your government to help your government run. When a family has a child born, from the age of 6, this family open an account in your government, and family make a contribution to run your help, to help your government. So this is the way how we try to support our exile government, and exile government overall take care of the education, the living, the everything of Tibetan refugees, India, Nepal, Bhutan, Sikkim. And then later on, and from the 70s on, we have some Tibetans into Canada and more. I think most of the countries, so manage to come over, and whatever they earn a little bit, they try to help back our community. So this is how we are trying to help ourselves.
Kushala?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I have two questions that are unrelated, actually. First, I want to ask you about your vegetarianism, what you advocate. I'll ask you, are you against dairy and eggs, or just grains and vegetables? And what do you advocate for the Western people?
Which are the two questions?
That's the first one. But how's
Okay.
No, this one.
Okay.
And then I want to ask you about the Tibetan resettlement project.
Okay. What should I advocate to the Western?
Yeah, what do you want to tell Western people about if they are giving up meat? What about dairy?
Okay, okay.
Dairy, eggs?
Yeah. Well, see,
You're not killing the animal.
yeah, but you know, also when we try to do better, we try. We cannot go extreme, right? We try. So to begin with, if you stop eating meat, that is a big step, because that directly causes the killing of animal, right? And then if you can go stronger, if you can avoid dairy, egg, of course, you're most welcome. You know, there's no end in the progress in doing good. You can do as good as you can, but the key thing, you know, to begin with, is if you avoid eating meat. That is directly linked with the slaughtering, killing of animal. And then, of course, you have now in the West, like even you eat egg, you have free roaming egg, like organic egg, whatever, right? Free roaming chicken, whatever. What do you say?
Free range.
Yeah. Free range eggs, that's right. Free range eggs, yeah. So those are okay, I think. I think so, huh?
The question that's unrelated to vegetarianism is, do you feel that the Tibetan resettlement project in the United States has been successful? We were in, a couple of us at least, maybe more that are in the room, were involved with that here in Missoula many years ago. There were 10 or more families, no, there were 20 originally.
Of course, that's a successful thing. But back in our community, different ideas. Some people say it was good, very helpful. Of course, it was helpful. But some people say that because of that project, now Tibetan people have some kind of have a more temptation, or they just, you know, awaken everyone that want to go out. No one want to live in India. You know, and then also legal people try to get out of India or get to America or Europe. People try to get to the West. Any channel they find, legal, illegal, whatsoever. So that is no good. And we, as from the government, we tried to teach or encourage people not to involve into the illegal channels to get to West, because we often say that if somebody go into an illegal channel to get to West, something goes wrong, will not be responsible. We try to say this, but you know, this is so. There is this things. Some people say it was good. Some people say, oh, you know, now no one wants to live in here, so we're going to lose our culture. You know.
Do you think that they can maintain their culture within the U.S.? There's a large group in Minneapolis.
So that's what we are trying. Even since I came to the U.S., whenever I met the Tibetan community, I said, I mean, I believe everyone said. I said, try to come into one neighborhood, so then you can set a small school for your children to keep your culture, customs and this and that. So where there is a bigger community in a big city, maybe they are able to do this, but otherwise it's like difficult, for them to keep their children into their religion, their culture. Is difficult. Even the language, they lose their language.
I have a question. Wouldn't do it, they used to. And the reason why is because the mad cow disease, that's where it is. It's in the marrow of the nerve, in that little spot on the T-bone. So then that's when I decided I better quit eating this meat, because I don't want to get mad cow disease. And that's all. I mean, you didn't mention that in your thing, but of course, if you don't eat meat, you don't have to worry about it.
That's right. That's right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
First of all, I would like to say thank you for coming to Montana to visit us.
Thank you.
Secondly, I just wanted to ask, what are your 3 favorite vegetarian foods?
My favorite vegetarian food?
Yes. Your 3 favorite.
3. I don't know. I never thought of that. Any vegetarian food is good for me equally. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Maybe.
Thank you, Geshe, for coming.
Thank you.
I'm asked this question a lot. When I raise vegetables or I wash them, say there are maybe hundreds of bugs coming to the surface, dying. I'm asked this all the time.
Yeah.
As them being sentient beings, how do those sentient beings compare to, say, one sentient being of a cow or a chicken that feeds more people?
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. There's this, to my understanding, right? One thing, let's begin like this. In all of us, sentient beings, who has the biggest body has bigger feeling. Meaning, a big animal, when you kill or hurt anyways, because they have a big body, they have so much pain, so much more suffering they go through. As big as their body has, they have more pain, more suffering. Small bugs, tiny bugs, they do not go that much pain and suffering. As the body is tinier, their pain and suffering is tinier. Tinier, can I say tinier? Smaller? Smaller. That way, for example, killing a bug and a big animal is a big difference. Similarly, killing a human being and an animal is a big difference. Because human life is much more precious. This is why, as we all know that there's this different. Killing a human is much more, how to say? Serious, okay. Serious than killing an animal, right? We all know. So that's one thing. Then other words, you say when washing vegetable, bugs die. When you wash vegetables, those bugs may die, but you wash vegetable not purposely, right? Kill the bugs. So they may die. You may try not to not let them die. I mean, try to protect them whatever you can. But okay, my point is, because your intention is not to kill the bugs, right? So it's less serious. Can I say? In other words, you can't help, right? So that's why I say we should not think of extreme, right? If you think of extreme, then you cannot do anything. You cannot function. This is why I always try. TRY is very good. Try to best. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you for coming. Am I correct, in 1991 when I first met His Holiness the Dalai Lama, that he ate meat at that time?
He still eats meat.
Does he still eat meat? Is he vegetarian now?
His Holiness, from the young age, he tried to be vegetarian, and then his Tibetan doctors asked him not to, because his body needs some kind of protein or something like that. That's what His Holiness often says when he was interviewed. And then later on, I know for some years he tried to be vegetarian completely. But I don't know if he is still vegetarian or he occasionally eat meat. I hear he occasionally eat meat. I am not sure.
If there aren't any other burning questions, or if there are, you could bring them to the workshop. I'd just like to thank Geshe for coming all the way from India, let alone Boise, Idaho. And we really want to thank Terry for allowing us to use this space on Good Friday. It's very, very meaningful.
Thank you.